Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and this is where I talk whatever the crap about whatever the crap I want to. No, today we are not talking about the very popular book Cinderella is Dead by Kailyn Byron. Today we are talking about the oversaturation of the fairy tale of Cinderella in current media. For the one or two of you out there who don't know what Cinderella is, I'll give you a quick rundown. Cinderella is a fairy tale written by Charles Perrault. No, Disney did not invent Cinderella. Disney made a cartoon, adapted the fairy tale into a cartoon movie of Cinderella. Unfortunately, the original creator of Cinderella does not get the credit because Disney is such, well, it's Disney, you know. It gets the credit for, well, pretty much everything that it adapts. Snow White, Cinderella, Little Mermaid, when they were all adapted from fairy tales that already exist. But for most of you, the Disney Cinderella is probably, or was your first introduction to the fairy tale of Cinderella. It tells the story of, well, usually her name is Ella. Sometimes they change that up, about Ella, whose father dies and she lives with her evil stepmother and stepsisters. There is a prince who holds a ball. She wants to go to the ball, but her evil stepmother doesn't let her. So when they go to the ball, her fairy godmother visits, gives her a dress, a carriage, and she has to be home by midnight because it'll all disappear by then. She goes to the ball, she meets the prince, she leaves her shoe behind at midnight, the prince picks up her shoe, and for some reason her foot size means more to him than her actual face, so he goes around trying the shoe on every eligible woman in his kingdom until he finds Cinderella again and they live happily ever after. Major spoilers for Cinderella, but I think everyone pretty much knows the story at this point, so I'm not too concerned about that. Like I say, Disney Cinderella is probably the most popular adaptation of Cinderella that we have seen in modern-ish. It was made in like 1940, 50 something, but in modern terms, Disney Cinderella is the most popular and well-known version of the story. Both probably the cartoon and the live action. I'll leave my thoughts on the live action out of this for now. Maybe it'll crop up later, I don't know. But if you were a little girl and you loved your fairy tales and you loved your Disney movies, you were most likely raised on the story of Cinderella. It's a fairy tale that's kind of interesting because, like I say, the prince was more confident in the fact that her shoe fit than he was in the fact that he would see her face and know, like, hey, that's her. Because it wasn't a masked ball or anything, like their faces were all very much on show, so that was interesting. That's always been kind of fascinating to me. Some adaptations of the story do put a mask on her, but it's still quite obvious who she is, you know, like, but you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. It's a fairy tale, you know, it's not supposed to be taken 100% seriously. In the same way that people think that the Little Mermaid is a bad fairy tale for little girls because she gives up her tail to meet a man, even though her dream has always been to go on land and walk and follow her dreams of doing so. She just happens to meet a man, and that happens to be the catalyst for her to finally get to do so, but that's a discussion for another day. Cinderella, I would say, is probably the most adapted fairy tale of all time. Of course, there are different variations of all sorts of fairy tales all over the place, like Snow White has Snow White and the Huntsman. It has the various different live actions of Snow White that happened that weren't under Disney. And it would be the second one that I would think the most after Cinderella, but Cinderella is most definitely the one with the most iterations all over the place. Like, everywhere you turn, there's a Cinderella story somewhere. And the reason that made me want to talk about it now is because at the moment, right now, there are two different versions of Cinderella out there playing in the medium of entertainment. Right now on Amazon Prime, there is the Cinderella movie featuring Camille Cabello, James Corden, Billy Porter and Idina Menzel. And then there's also Andrew Lloyd Webber's current musical Cinderella, which is on Broadway at the moment, featuring or starring Carrie Hope Fletcher. So right now, there are two different versions of Cinderella happening simultaneously. And I don't know if anyone else sees how mad that is. It's not even like Cinderella is an under-adapted story. It is very, very, like, there is so many versions of Cinderella out there. Some good, some bad, some mediocre, some pointless, and it baffles me that this over-exaggerated, over-saturated fairy tale is getting so much attention to the point that there is now 2 different shows going on at the exact same time of a story that has been told 1,000 times before. And they claim that, oh, this is a spin, this is different. Like, I've seen reviews for the Cinderella movie that's on Amazon Prime, and they're saying that, like, there was one that said Cinderella wears the boots in this one, which I assume means that Cinderella, I don't know, she puts her foot down and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure I saw in the trailer she's a career woman, she makes dresses, things like that. You know, your very cliche version of turning the fairy tale upside down. I can't speak for the Broadway show because I really like musicals on Broadway, and if I ever did get the impulse to go and see the Cinderella on Broadway, I would like to go in blind, but I'm still not impressed by the fact that it even exists at all, because like I say, it's everywhere. We have tons of it. That's not to say that my opinion on this means anything at all. Fuck, these people can go and adapt whatever the hell they want and do whatever the hell they want with it, whatever the hell story they want. But why Cinderella is my interest, because like I say, everyone has done it. I've talked before about the death of originality on this channel, and I think there's no better example right now than the fact that there's 2 different Cinderella stories going on out in the wild right now of entertainment, and I think nothing speaks more volumes than that. Not even a fairy tale that's been underdeveloped, not a fairy tale that you don't see a lot of adaptations of. A fairy tale that I'm sick to death of seeing. And I don't include the Disney remakes, because Disney pretty much do play-by-play remakes of their cartoons, except for some reason they want to give the genie a girlfriend and Aladdin for some reason, and stupid decisions like that. Even the stories that they have adapted can be given twists or given different sort of perspectives outside of their own kind of versions. For example, everyone seems so keen to tell a different story of Cinderella. They want to tell a different story of how she's not totally infatuated with the prince, and how she's a career woman and she has goals and things like that. And that's outside the Disney kind of idea that Disney did when they adopted it. But every story seems to have the same kind of beats. Like, they say they're telling a new version of the story, but it's pretty much what you expect this new version is going to be. There's nothing that kind of subverts your expectations. Maybe there is. I haven't watched it. I have no interest whatsoever in watching either of these at the minute. It's just unoriginal. It is unoriginal. And for example, why don't they try and tell a new version of Sleeping Beauty? I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that there aren't other different versions of Sleeping Beauty, and I'm not including Maleficent, because Maleficent was terrible, and that was Disney trying to change what they thought was a problem with their version, and they fucked it up. They ruined it. They messed it up. So we should just let Disney do their play-by-play remakes in their wee corner and make all their billions and billions of dollars, because they're not good at trying to fix what they saw as an issue. A story like Sleeping Beauty hasn't been done by other companies. It hasn't been done by other film studios, and it hasn't been written in a way that kind of subvert expectations, you know, the kind of thing that they're always claiming they're doing with the Cinderella stories. And I would really like to see a different fairy tale get the kind of subversion treatment just for once, so that I'm not seeing the 100,000th version of Cinderella coming out with its new wave feminism idea of the exact same story, because it is the exact same story, except they're putting in some classic feminism beats and claiming that they're subverting expectations. There's no originality there. There's no ideas that kind of add to the story or make it better. It's just the exact same thing over and over again. I would rather watch a Cinderella story starring Hilary Duff than the current Cinderella movie that's on Amazon Prime. For one thing, the one on Amazon Prime, I hear, doesn't use original songs. It uses songs like Somebody to Love by Queen and things like that. I mean, is Camille Cabello not a songwriter? I know she's a singer, but does she not write her music? Like, it's like the Moulin Rouge of Cinderella. The book world is another kind of story entirely. There are books that have been released that are widely known for telling new versions of fairy tales There's Beastly, which tells the new story of Beauty and the Beast. There's Cinderella's Dead, which I stated at the start of this video. And I think the book world is very much completely separate from movies and musicals, because they actually, in my opinion, do something different. They do something that's interesting and new that hasn't been done before by like 10 other studios. And I find that more interesting, and it draws my attention more than seeing Cinderella do the exact same thing, go to the ball, wear the dress, you know, the shoe fits. I don't know, maybe, I'm not saying, I could be completely wrong, maybe one of them has the shoe doesn't fit or something like that, because I will put my hands up, I haven't watched them, because I don't want to. But I just want to see something different, I want to see something new. I'm fed up with seeing Cinderella's story get beat to death. Like, she's dead, she's on the ground dead, and you're just kicking her now. You know that Simpsons meme, stop, she's already dead. That is the Cinderella fairy tale now. Leave her alone, okay? It's done. It's been done 1,000 times, but then what I expect, originality is dead in Hollywood, and there's nothing, and I don't know why I keep getting surprised by it. So I don't know why I keep having my expectations dashed whenever I know full and rightly that it's not going to change. So nothing changes, boys and girls. That's the moral of this video. Don't you just love coming to my channel? Anyway, that's my thoughts on the Cinderella adaptations that are going about right now. What are your thoughts? Do you think that they're justified adaptations, that they have a right to exist? Do you think that they tell different stories? Have you watched them? Let me know what actually goes on if you've watched them. Are they worth being there? Let me know down below. Like, comment and subscribe. Buy my book if you want. Don't do any of that if you don't want to. I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. And remember, stop beating Cinderella to death. She is dead. She is gone. Rip Cinderella, alright? Rip Cinderella.